As a kid, growing up homeschooled, I spent a lot of time at the public library. I have very fond childhood memories of browsing the stacks, looking for filmmaking books that were way above my reading level. For the last year, I've worked for the Columbus Metropolitan Library and gained an entirely new respect for how libraries work, the services they provide, and how important they are in a community. Just think about this for a second. What if I told you there was a place in your town, probably multiple places, you could go to where you could get basically any book you ever wanted? DVDs, magazines, computers, meeting rooms you could rent, plus it's all free. You can go there whenever you want, and the people who work there just want to help you. Like, that's literally their entire job. We aren't trying to sell you anything. If the concept of libraries didn't exist, it would sound like an absurd, crazy idea. You're gonna have a building full of books that anyone in the city can take, and they just have to promise to bring them back. It sounds absurd, yet they exist, they're here, we have them. So recently I looked up the stats on my library card. My account was created 21 years ago in 2004. Over the course of my lifetime, I've checked out 4,306 items, and I've saved $8,567.97 by using the library. This year alone, I've already saved $603.63. Libraries are paid for in a large part by our taxes. This is something we're already paying into. It makes sense to take full advantage of it. Okay, so first let's just dispel some myths about libraries. It's not just about the books. While books are a large part of why I love libraries and a large part of what I'm going to talk about in this video, there are also a lot of other services that libraries provide. Libraries provide movies, graphic novels, magazines, newspapers, and computers for the public to access, printing, copying, and fax machines. They also provide programming for babies, kids, teens, young adults, elders, after-school support, free meeting rooms that anyone can use. At the Columbus Libraries, there's also other services available, such as a notary. They are public spaces that are warm in the winter, cool in the summer, that are highly monitored and very safe. They also provide digital subscriptions. So our library offers access to ebooks and audiobooks through the app Libby. Our libraries also provide access to online research tools like LinkedIn Learning, where you can literally learn about anything you want to. You want to learn about how to use Excel, how to use digital marketing, how to create and sell ads. All of that's available through LinkedIn Learning, a service that the library pays for that we are then able to use. Our library also provides a subscription service for movies and TV shows, completely for free, that I can watch on my phone, laptop, or even my TV. We also have a huge DVD and Blu-ray selection. So a few months ago, I was watching this TV show. And you know how it is where you have like a streaming account that maybe you're sharing with someone else. Anyway, the other person stopped paying for the streaming account, so suddenly this TV show wasn't available anymore. I only had a couple episodes left, and I was kind of bummed because like it didn't feel worth it to me to pay for the streaming service, and I also didn't want to like buy the episodes individually online, and so I sort of cut my losses. And I thought, wait a second, I bet the library has a DVD copy of the show. And so I look up on the library catalog, and sure enough, there's a DVD copy of the show. Put it on hold. 3 days later, I get the actual DVD, and I'm able to watch the other episodes completely for free. I remember as a kid, like in the pre-streaming era, checking out DVDs from the library. But now with Netflix and Hulu and Max and Disney Plus, I had sort of forgotten that libraries also provide movies and TV shows. Working in a public library is easily one of the best jobs I've ever had. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, you are there to help people, but you're not trying to sell them anything. For a while, I worked as a materials service associate. I was essentially someone who was checking in materials, I was putting books on shelves, I was handling the materials as they were coming in, making sure they were going in the right spot, and my entire job was to make sure that the public had access to these materials, right? To make sure everything was properly scanned, properly put in the right spot so that people could find and check out the materials that we had. Now, I've moved on to a customer service specialist. So I work on the customer service side of things. So I am there to help answer people's questions as they come in, whether it's about library services, what we offer, helping them find a book, or just directions about where the bathrooms or meeting rooms happen to be. At our libraries, there's also people who work in information services, so they're sort of what you think of as the classic librarians, right? These are people that are there specifically to help you find materials. They're working to display the materials of the library. They're tracking what's circulating, what's not circulating, rearranging things to try and make them circulate better. And then there's the youth services team. They run like story time and baby lap time, and they do a program called Reading Buddies, where someone younger can read with someone older. They offer school help services, so that students can come after school, can connect, tutor each other, and be in a safe and encouraging space to learn. But fundamentally, everyone is there to give people access. Whether it's putting the books on the shelf in the right spot so that you can find them, putting on programming, setting up displays, or my job, just answering questions as people come in, we are there to help you. It's never annoying when someone asks me a question, whether they're trying to find a book or information about something. That's like my entire job. That's why I'm there. That's what I'm there to do. And I just get excited because there's so much potential in a library. If you want to learn about law, we have books for that. If you want to read every book by Colleen Hoover, you could do that too. If you want to learn about Shakespeare or music or art or poetry, like all of that's here. And this isn't to say you shouldn't buy books. Like, I buy books all of the time, but most of the time I buy a book after I've already read it from the library. Buying books is a commitment. Not only is it kind of expensive, but I also need to store and organize that book with all of the other books I have. You can ask my fiance, I already have too many books. And buying books doesn't give me the same freedom to explore ideas, to browse multiple books on the same topic, to sift through different information to try to find what I'm looking for. Because of the library, I read books I never would have picked up because of that $16.99 barrier at Barnes & Noble. One of the arguments I see against checking out books in the library is, oh, if I'm going to be learning about something, I really want to have that book handy for reference down the line. I've found that this is almost never the case. I read a lot of books, but many of them, once I'm done reading them, I never pick them back up again. Sometimes I'm able to get the information out of them that I need. Sometimes it's just a story that I only want to read once, but most of the time, once I'm done reading a book, I'm done reading that book. And if there ever is a book that I want to read again, I always have the option to buy it. So The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss and The Creative Act by Rick Rubin are two of my favorite books that I want to have on hand at all times. But the first time I read both of these was from the library. After that, I bought them. Without reading them for the first time, I had no way of knowing if I would even like the material. Since working at the library, I have checked out more books than ever before. When I'm going to work, it's kind of dangerous because I'll be looking through the stacks, maybe putting books back on the shelf, or even just straightening, and something will catch my eye. I've picked up books on gardening and art and poetry and many other things that I never thought I was interested in. And have I read all of them? No. But I've skimmed most of them. And reading all of these books has expanded how I've thought about the world, it's pushed me in new directions, and it's made me think more complexly. Reading and the amount of free information that is available in libraries is so important. The internet is a phenomenal resource, but it also has some major drawbacks. What you get delivered on Google depends on SEO, trends, paid ads, your demographic profile, and a host of other factors. Websites do not have the same vetting process that a book must go through to get on the shelves. And I don't know if this is the case for everyone, but recently I've found that the articles I'm reading are closer to disguised sales pages than actually articles. So as I'm reading about how to get t-shirts printed, by the end of the page I'm getting sold a specific product to print t-shirts. It isn't just about getting me the information. And even when websites don't have an ulterior motive, I get bombarded with all of these ads that make it almost impossible to read through. Like, going on a recipe website now just makes my blood boil. And don't get me wrong, I love the internet, and there are many times where it can be absolutely fantastic. We can see things happening around the world in almost real time. It connects us like never before, but it also allows anything to be said, even if it isn't true. And look, this can certainly be the case in a book as well, but the amount of editing that a book must go through in order to make it onto the shelves is far more rigorous than someone clicking post on a podcast or blog post. Books are written with a longer time horizon in mind, where a website or article might only be relevant for a couple of days to a few weeks. A book has much stronger staying power. Like, books can remain relevant 5, 10, 15, even 20 years later. Like, I've read books recently that are hundreds of years old, and still I find them useful. But I think the biggest difference is that fundamentally, the point of the book is for you to buy the book. The book isn't trying to sell you some sketchy weight loss medication. The book is the thing that is being sold. The point of the book is to give you information. And at the library, all of the books are free. The amount of knowledge and richness and power that is in a public library is just, it's mind-boggling. Everything you need to get into a good college, to learn physics, to learn mathematics, to study engineering, to start a business, to become an expert in the Roman Empire. Like, it's all here. There is an overwhelming abundance of information out here, like the real stuff. If you want to learn more about trail running, there's a book for that. If you want to make your own pasta from home, there's a book for that. I've avoided talking about politics a lot on this channel, but libraries are currently under attack. There are moves to shut down the Institute of Museums and Library Services, which offers federal grants to libraries around the country. Education is critical. Free access to education is so important. The libraries offer one of the richest, greatest, most reliable ways for people to gain real information. The cliche of knowledge is power is cliche for a reason, and it's because it is true. Knowing about something gives you an edge over someone who doesn't know about that thing. As we move into a more complicated and nuanced society through the chaos that we're experiencing right now, we need access to information. We need access to the best information, not just the most clickable. So this is my petition. We need the public libraries. And if you haven't been to your public library in a while, walk through it. Browse the shelves, see if anything catches your eye. Walk through sections you wouldn't normally look at. See what specific services your library offers. This is an amazing free resource available to almost anyone in the country, and most people barely use it. In an age where finances are a little tighter and false narratives spread through the internet like wildfire, we need real information. We need to be educated, and we need to be able to think for ourselves. We need our libraries. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video so that more people will see it, and subscribe below for more videos like this one. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.